Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yugioh VRains episode review. This time we will be going over episode 43 of Yugioh VRains. Generally, what did I think about this episode? I thought it was another very enjoyable episode as we reach the climax, the conclusion of this arc, as they have called it, Yusaku and Revolver, or should I say Playmaker and Ryoken, even though I kind of switched those up, so that doesn't really work too well. But the final duel, that's right, they have dubbed this the final duel, and this definitely is the final duel of the arc, of the season. We know a new opening is on the horizon in April, so this really is the end, and it really does feel like the climax of an arc. You know, everyone's gone, everything is on the line in this duel, and it is just a mano rival versus protagonist, Yusaku versus Ryoken, or Playmaker versus Revolver. So the first half of this episode was really all dialogue based. It was Ryoken talking, it was really them finding Ryoken's house, and again, Ryoken is Revolver's real life name, and we saw how Revolver looked in the real world. And let me talk about his design. First of all, I thought his design was awesome. I thought he was a very good-looking anime dude. I know on Twitter a lot of the fangirls have been going going pretty crazy over him. So he's a very good-looking guy, very well animated, I thought, and I really do like the design. And he's 18 years old, so he's definitely one of the oldest rivals we have had. I don't know, he's definitely older than Kaito, and I know Reiji was 16, so he's definitely the oldest we've had since Jack Atlas. I'm not 100% sure on Jack's age, and I'd imagine he's probably older than Chaz Manjome from GX. Not sure about Ryo Marufuji, and maybe older than Seto Kaiba. So he might be the oldest rival we've had, because he was 8 years old when the Lost incident occurred, and that's what he said, so we can figure 10 years later, he is 18 years old. Learned a few things. The first big thing is there were so many people who drew the conclusion that Revolver was one of the victims. He was one of the kids of this incident, but I was someone who never really believed that Revolver was a kid. I was always like, let's not jump to that conclusion, because I feel like he's probably more so the voice that inspired Yusaku, and that voice probably wasn't one of the kids. Now, a lot of people said his father wouldn't have, tortured him the way that he tortured Yusaku and other kids by, forcing him to barely eat if they dueled poorly. And so some people said maybe that the room that he was in was a lot more, I guess, liberal, where Dr. Kogami let him eat all the time, and that he just wanted to base an AI off his own son, but that clearly was not the case. So Revolver, not one of the kids of the incident. There is no Ignis based off Revolver, which I feel like the opening maybe deceived us a little bit, because we have all, but then again, we don't know if Aoi and Go were involved, so never mind, that might not be true. I'm just assuming that they might be. That big orange buffed AI, I feel like, could be Go's, and then the blue one with pigtails could be Aoi's, but then again, that doesn't really make too much sense, because why don't they remember the incident at all? Who knows? A lot of question marks, but we can pretty much confirm Revolver was not one of the kids. He was the person who gave Yusaku courage, meaning we only know 3 of the kids that were involved in this incident. There are still 3 other kids, which is an exciting prospect that we do not know. Now, we might know them, we might have seen them before, cough cough, Aoi and Go, but we can't confirm that they are in it. So we only know that Jin, Kusanagi's brother, Yusaku, and Spectre were 3 of the victims. The other 3, up to debate. So you guys can leave any thoughts you have on that in the comment section, but that I thought was very interesting. And we learn Kogami's true intentions, that he was not really creating the Ignis for a specific reason, but he wanted the Ignis to help humanity live longer. He wanted the Ignis to help humanity, I guess, expand, you could say. And I thought that maybe he was creating the Ignis because he knew an imminent threat was coming from a group or a terrorist organization, something along those lines. Clearly, time travelers, even though that's very overplayed, but clearly that is not the case. It was just generally speaking. And I thought the stuff they were talking about really hit home. The one scene that almost gave me the chills is when Kogami is talking about how he's run several billion simulations, and every simulation shows that the AIs are going to destroy humanity, that humans have conquered everything. They're not going to like AIs being so involved in their life, and they're going to be threatened and intimidated by AIs, so they're going to learn to hate AIs the same way AIs are going to learn to hate humans. But AIs are just more powerful, and again, they don't have that deteriorating human flesh, as I think Revolver put it. So obviously the AIs are going to win that fight. And I just feel like that could be a prelude to the real world in like 20, 30 years. And you had that creepy like techno music playing in the background as Kogami is giving that spiel. So that scene creeped me out a little bit. And I feel like, again, the barrier of fiction versus reality, and fiction being Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, reality being the world we currently live in with how technology is so steadily advancing. In fact, it's funny, Stephen Hawking, who just passed away, very brilliant scientist, obviously, and, rest in peace to him. He was someone who I believed he said that AI or artificial intelligence would lead to the end of humanity. He's a genius, and he's someone who predicted that as well. So it's not some conspiracy stuff out there. This is the real world, and so it is terrifying to think that this could be almost a prelude to what's going to happen in the real world. Not saying it will, and not saying that'll happen in our lifetime, and hopefully, of course, it doesn't, but technology is moving really fast, and that's why I probably have liked this show so much, because I feel like this really does tackle, well, yes, it's very fictional, having a whole nother dimension that you can teleport into, virtual reality, even though virtual reality, how far are we away from that, seeing virtual reality in, video games and stuff? We're not, actually, I think virtual reality is a thing. I don't think it is. I know it's a thing. Having your whole body teleported is maybe something else, but this is almost real stuff, and that's why I think I have loved this show, because while it is very sci-fi-ish, it's kind of almost, I feel, a prelude to what things could be like 10, 15 years. So anyway, that's my rant. Hopefully I didn't really freak anyone out, but that was a line that was a whole sequence that creeped me out. But in that sequence, we also got a great hint of foreshadowing where Revolver says, does Soul Technologies know about the danger of the AI, about that they can bring about humanity's destruction? Kogami goes, yes, they do. Revolver goes, oh my god, we have to go after them. And Kogami's like, no, you fool, we have to destroy the Ignis first. We have to destroy the AIs. So that almost hints at where this show is going to go after this arc, at least to me. I think it is going to go after Soul Technologies. It also villainizes everyone who knows in Soul Technologies, probably all the chess pieces. I doubt Akira and the chief, security manager really knows, even though he's not even the chief security manager anymore. I'm sure the chess pieces all know, and they literally are selling out humanity's future to make some extra money, which if that's not the most corporate thing in the world, I don't know what is. So I thought that was interesting, hinting at Soul Tech, again, being maybe that next route, because this is the arc where they're trying to destroy the Ignis, and then, Kogami said there's time for that afterwards, which would be to go after Soul Tech. So I think that was a little hint right there at where the show is going to go after this arc. The interaction was pretty interesting it's funny because Playmaker, again, everything that he's done was to try to help that one kid that gave him courage, and the kid that gave him courage is Revolver. We learned that. And Revolver, it seems, maybe having a change of heart in the early stages of this episode, and then he just goes oh, by the way, I'm not a good guy. I will go back into Link VRains. I will duel you one more time. Basically, I'm pretty sure he says he wants to join his friends in the afterlife. He wants to die with Spectre, with Vyra, with Faust, with Gnome, and of course, with his father. He has no one left to live for. Another big thing is that Revolver also reported the incident when he was 8 years old. He didn't really know what was going on, but the screams from the kids tormented him. That was another kind of sad, a little bit disturbing scene, just imagining him in that room listening to 6 kids, screaming. That's not something you want to really think about too much, but he was the one who reported it to authorities, and he immediately regretted it, funny enough, because upon doing so, he indirectly got his dad killed, pretty much. He got his dad put in a coma, so the amount of guilt and inner turmoil this character probably has is ridiculous, and I cannot wait to hopefully see that touched upon a little more in the future. But, I thought they set up his character brilliantly in terms of the real Revolver, and talking about his role in the past, and it makes sense, and I really loved that. I really loved the first half of the episode. Second half of the episode, real life duel. I would have liked to know more information about the other 3 kids, but I understand they're going to do that at a more appropriate time, and we will learn, hopefully, all of the victims at some point. I'm actually 100% sure we will. We'll just have to wait to see, but that'll be another interesting development to obviously keep an eye on. 2 more male characters and a female. Do we already know them? That's up for debate, I suppose. We go back into Link VRains. One final duel. the master duel between Playmaker and Revolver. Revolver uses a really interesting strategy. Man, the Mirror Force has been, it's almost become his ace card. I mean, he used a variant of it, I believe it was called Mirror Force Launcher. He tricked Yusaku into using Link Slayer's effect to destroy what he thought was Mirror Force, because Revolver showed Playmaker that he put Mirror Force in his hand and then set a card, but it was really this Mirror Force variant, and because of that, he's able to reset Mirror Force, he's able to reset this card. Playmaker does get 1,000 points of damage on him. He summoned X-Code as well, which was really cool, although X-Code got destroyed because of Mirror Force. And so the score right now, Playmaker 4,000, Revolver 3,000, as we go into episode 44. And I don't know. I mean, Playmaker has to win, right? He has to win. I want to say this isn't going to be a Playmaker win, because obviously I would like to see some kind of crazy plot twist, but I don't think Revolver has been turned to the point where it would make sense, where if Revolver wins, he'll still have that change of heart and say, you know what, I don't want to do this. And I don't see any other X factor unless Kusanagi comes in. But I honestly, again, with that new opening coming in April, I honestly feel like we don't have that much time. Now, the one big X factor, the one big question mark, which might not have anything to do with this arc at all, or any influence on this arc, is Jin. I really, really thought Jin was going to have some kind of influence in this show, but he so far has been not even on the sidelines. He hasn't even been around, so you can't really say he's been like underutilized or he's been a cheerleader, because he's just kind of gone. He's shelled himself off, and maybe that whole theory of him being in a bit of an asylum or a hospital is true. I thought that was more symbolism of him being, in a dark corner and him being, trapped inside the dark confines of his mind or something like that. But maybe that is true. Of course, he has personal beef here, so if he was more involved, I could say maybe he would take over, or Kusanagi would take over. I thought Arc 5 did a good job of having Yuya not relying on their main protagonist to defeat the villains. You had Reiji defeat Roger. You had, the tag team gauntlet of 11 people defeat Zark. Of course, that was a bit of an exception because Yuya was Zark. The only real big threat that Yuya defeated was Yuri. And so I thought that was because, Yugioh, it's always the protagonist defeating the threat. So I like that in Arc 5 that they didn't really do that, where the rival was the one. Of course, in this case, the rival is almost the main antagonist of this arc, so that's not going to happen. But maybe Kusanagi, we see him running back to his hot dog truck. He didn't go into Link VRains. Obviously, it's probably too dangerous, but we still don't know if he duels. We have no idea if Kusanagi duels. He really might be that guy that just does the hacking stuff from the real world. So maybe he's someone who's going to come in and duel Revolver if Playmaker loses as one final challenge. But they're dubbing this the final duel. I don't see Revolver winning, because I don't see Playmaker losing, and I don't see this tower going off, because if this tower goes off after Revolver wins, that means not only are all the characters that have already been absorbed gone for good, but Revolver is gone for good, and Playmaker is gone for good. Where the hell does the story go after that? It's just Playmaker is absolutely going to win this duel. I have no doubt in my mind, but again, I hope I am wrong with that. I hope they pull some crazy plot twist. I could ramble on and on. I'm going to cut myself off there, and I would love to hear from you guys down below. So I hope you enjoyed my review. Let me know all your thoughts about episode 43 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. Definitely a lot to discuss. I will talk to you down below. Thank you for all the support as always. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.